go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Well, that's a little preview of what's to come tonight, as always. But here we are. We're live. Rich Mancuso with you. Keep it in the ring for this Thursday edition, August 29th, 2024. I can't believe with the end of August, we're going to go into September, Labor Day weekend this weekend. But I'm here. You're all here. So is Carl Roberts and Scott Churston. They're manning the controls, and I'm glad to have Carl Roberts back in the fold. We're live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Please like, comment, and most of all, subscribe and leave your comments if possible. Love to hear from you, as I always do on my social media handles at X, former Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, as well as read my content, Latinosports.com, NewYorkSportsDay.com, some of the outlets I write for. And also, we are seen live on the AGT Network feed and also with Spring Punk Entertainment and the Keep It in the Ring Facebook page, which you can like, and you'll be connected, and you'll read about what I write about in combat sports, with the pro wrestling, the boxing, of course, the UFC, and much other. So, but we got a lot to do in an hour that's going to go pretty fast. I'm kind of tired, and I apologize, as I was in Washington, D.C. with the Yankees this past weekend. I am very, very tired. This old man can't do what he used to do, but I still do it, if you get my drift. And no guests will go solo. Bring in Carl later to talk to wrestling with AEW All In going into All Out. And, of course, WWE with the Berlin, Bash in Berlin this Saturday on Peacock, their latest PLE event. And, of course, the boxing world right now on a little bit of a, hiatus or slow time. Of course, we're going into Labor Day weekend and getting ready, as I've been telling you, for that heavy fall calendar of major fights, which will be coming up. So the news is not that much with boxing. You know, the sport does need a break like we all do at times as we wrap up the summer of 2024. And the fights are still being put together for that all-important fall calendar going into the winter and the end of the year. However, this past weekend, meaning last weekend, we had a taste of boxing. Not the best, but we had it. And of course, everyone likes to see Floyd Mayweather Jr., the former welterweight champ, among others, undefeated, retired, get back into the ring as with exhibitions, which he likes to do. Floyd Mayweather Jr. and John Gotti III, yes, had their rematch. An exhibition, as it is, an exhibition of 8 2-minute rounds. Now, no judges scoring the fight. This was on the Zone. It was pay-per-view at a hefty price. If you like Floyd Mayweather Jr. as that great champion and Hall of Famer he is, then you purchased and wanted to see Floyd Mayweather all over again. But not this version of Floyd Mayweather Jr., who I think, with the legacy he's had, tarnishes himself a bit in retirement by doing these stupid, bogus exhibition bouts to make more money. Now, in the case of this fight in Mexico City that had the support of Jose Solimene, the head of the WBC, one of the alphabet soup organizations in the sport, and with many in Mexico, including Julio Cesar Chavez, the legendary former champion from Mexico. To them, this was great. To the fans that packed the arena in Mexico City, it was great because they got to see Floyd Mayweather Jr. again. Many who never saw him fight live got to see him fight live for the first time. But by no means was this the Floyd Mayweather Jr. that we were used to seeing, that went on to become a dominant champion in the sport, that got him into the Hall of Fame and finished with an undefeated career. Granted, John Gotti III is a bare knuckles fighter. That's the world he comes out of, and gave Floyd Mayweather Jr. again a show, if you want to say that. Some of the punches did land. And at times you wondered why these two did it again. The first fight they had last year ended in controversy and almost a brawl broke out. This time a little friendlier, and they went on and did it, and both of them made a lot of money, and that's what it's all about. Floyd Mayweather Jr., known as Money throughout his career, illustrious career, was always known as Money. And here again, he's relevant again by doing these bogus and stupid exhibitions that do not help the sport at all. I mean, you like to see former champions back in the limelight. You like to see them because they were great to you. They were great to me. They were good for the sport. You like to see them still be relevant and be out there in the sport, but not to make an embarrassment of themselves and do things like this where they damage the sport and the credibility. And boxing definitely does not need any damage towards its credibility because it's already there, as you know, with all the controversy and everything else that goes on with it. However, when it comes to making money, these exhibitions have proved to be money makers. And this one again was. I'm hearing the pay-per-view buys were surpassed over 700,000. Which is pretty damn good when you look at it. But then again, that's because of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. name. Floyd Mayweather was an esteemed and great boxing champion who went by opponent over his distinguished career. John Gotti III is not a pro fighter. He's bare knuckles world where he comes out of. Yet he feels he has the material to become a pro champion in the sport. I totally disagree. It's two different sports. Some of the technique is similar, but most of it's not. But if you looked at this fight and you say and you analyze why is it being done? Why do it? And they might do it again. You know, you go through 6 rounds of this garbage and you don't get a decision because there are no judges at ringside. So you are the judge at home watching this stupid thing. You are determining as the judge at home watching it who won the fight. And to tell you the truth, I saw it because I don't have to pay for it because payperview.com out of courtesy sends me their pay-per-view links. And my gratitude to them doing that all the time. It saves a lot of money, but I get to see Floyd Mayweather Jr. again. And most of all, if you saw this fight, you saw a referee being changed in the middle of the fight. You know, Floyd Mayweather was warned about punching in the back of the head, and as a result, the referee was replaced. Floyd was getting penalized without judges at ringside. There were commissioned doctors at ringside. They had to be in the event of an injury or something went tragically wrong, and thank God it didn't. But he changed. This was the most ridiculous thing I've seen. A referee is being changed in the middle of the fight because Floyd Mayweather requested that after being warned about excessive blows, back slaps to the head or whatever. I've never seen that before in a real professional fight. Then again, remember, this was an exhibition. It doesn't go on record at all. And for John Gotti III to call himself a legitimate fighter, as he says he is, with his family behind him, saying the same thing, ridiculous. He's not. We have to see if John Gotti III can fight a legitimate active pro fighter to be considered anywhere, whether in the cruiserweight division that he is or wherever it be. More so, the only advantage to this is Floyd Mayweather Jr. is his own promoter. He's always been. And now he's under his own promotion with Richard Seyfried Jr., who used to be a part of Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya. And what Floyd Mayweather does with shows like this, exhibitions that mean nothing, he puts on his stable of fighters on a show that he's on as a main event, which is good. He's given young guys in the sport, the exposure and also some credibility and get their records going up and to get legitimate in the respective rankings. In particular, Mayweather has an 18-year-old protege, the lightweight, Kamel Morton, who remained undefeated, 5-0, 55 seconds. He annihilated Victor Vasquez. And among others, there was also the WBC number one bantamweight, Alan Picasco, 29-0 undefeated, 12-round unanimous decision. And although we weren't watching those fights, in particular, seeing Moton, who is young and talented and a protege of Floyd Mayweather. So that's the advantage of Floyd Mayweather doing exhibitions like this. Not only does it keep him relevant for himself, but in addition, it gets the young fighters in his stable work, action, and exposure that they need. And hey, if you're underneath the Floyd Mayweather Jr. banner, fight banner, you can't go wrong, can you? You're going to get exposure and you're going to make money because that's what Floyd Mayweather always did in his career. However, on this card, also, you got to see another former world champion, Victor Ortiz. And we flash back. Carl, put that up again. Flashback about 10 years ago. And if you remember, Ortiz fought Mayweather for the welterweight titles. And that became a disaster because Ortiz, if you remember, turned his back on Floyd and Floyd took advantage of it. And that ruined Victor Ortiz's career. He wasn't relevant no more after that. He made a lot of money again because he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. in the main event on pay-per-view. So you flash back to that, and if you remember that fight, Victor Ortiz got his opportunity. Now, he said he would retire, and he basically has. 2 years later, now from a layoff, he's been laid off and not doing nothing in boxing for 2 years. He returns on this same card promoted by Floyd Mayweather. And he goes in an exhibition, and let's show that image, Carl, 8 2-minute rounds of this, and out of shape, exhausted from the first bell to the last, of the former champion, Victor Ortiz. There on his school. Why? Rodriguez Camilla is the guy he fought, who's a relatively unknown as well. Why does Victor Ortiz do this and risk himself with injury? Well, the almighty dollar again. Well, fighting on the Floyd Mayweather Jr. promotion. Did it mean anything to him? He's basically retired, but he wants to stay relevant, and he did by fighting on a Mayweather pay-per-view card. And for the good of the sport, again, we don't need this. To me, it's garbage. It means nothing. There are still fans for Victor Ortiz, including myself, who was a fine young man I covered in his pro career. And then the Mayweather fiasco fight, that became a fiasco. Okay? But he doesn't need to risk himself to get injured again. And he says he's going to do it again. Why? It's an exhibition. He's not going nowhere. He's washed up. And it showed last Saturday evening in Mexico City. But that's what becomes of the sport when there's a lot of money on the table. And Victor Ortiz got a nice payday, and he can thank a guy that beat him, who he tried to get the title from, Floyd Mayweather Jr. The question again, fans, is why? Do you like this or not? I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, the AGT Network, as well as String Punk Entertainment. And I'd like your opinions on it. My opinion has been noted. No more. I really don't want to see this garbage again. Let Floyd Mayweather Jr. enjoy his retirement, promote the young fighters, make money that way instead of damaging his legacy by doing these bogus and stupid exhibition fights. And if you want your young star fighters in your stable to get the exposure, well, then put on a legitimate boxing card and showcase them all. They have the Zone behind them, the major streaming network in the business. Why not do that? I'd like to know your reaction on that. And by the way, the fight calendar of significance of a few fights coming up in the next few weeks, scrolled at the bottom of your screen. Take note of that. And also, again, you can comment on Twitter with me, Rich Mancuso, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. All right, moving on. And let's look at legitimacy right now, because we do have a upcoming superstar in the sport. He's already there, I believe. Undefeated Diego Pacheco, who I wanted on the program tonight. Couldn't get him. It's fight week out in for Pacheco in Las Vegas. On the zone this weekend, it's going to be this young man, Diego Pacheco, against Solseki, who's a number one WBA, fourth WBC IBF rated fighter, that being Diego Pacheco. And Diego Pacheco said today, again, he wins this fight. Now, he is undefeated, and he's steamrolling through the super middleweight division that has Canelo Alvarez unified at 168 minus the belt that the IBF took from him. Pacheco says this is a fight of significance, and more so now because he wins, and he said this today. It leads to that much more for him. He says he doesn't have the added pressure, but he says within 5 years after this fight, he will rule the division at 168 and be undisputed. And by that time, Canelo Alvarez should be out of the picture. We think so. Okay? My friends, Diego Pacheco is one of these young stars in the sport. And if you haven't watched him, get a chance to do it this weekend on the zone. Matchroom Eddie Hearn promotes him. He's got some power. He's got the nice footwork, which I love, as you know, in the fire. I admire that so much. And he's got the potential to be a champion and unified champion at 168. He's calling out guys already in a division that is very powerful, still with Canelo Alvarez dominating him. Christian Mabili, who we saw 2 weeks ago, undefeated. And, of course, this guy, Edgar Berlanga, was fighting Canelo Alvarez in a matter of 2 weeks in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena on Amazon Prime. Got his opportunity to get those titles from Canelo Alvarez in 2 weeks. We'll do more about that next week. But if Diego Pacheco wins this fight on Saturday night on the zone, what he said about becoming legitimate and that his opportunity has arrived, it will. He has a chance to become a major player, top rated, and he already is in many ways, among all the sanctioning alphabet soup organizations in the sport. He beats this guy Saturday night and beats him commandingly. Solecki. Well, then, you know, Diego Pacheco has definitely arrived. There are also undercard fights, as you see it on your screen. Take note of that. It's on the zone this weekend, and I am very high on Diego Pacheco. I look forward to watching him again Saturday night as he moves on in his quest to become a champion at 168 and get to those big names I just mentioned. Whether it be Canelo Alvarez, whether it be Mabili or someone else, he wins this fight, Diego Pacheco is going to get that opportunity for sure at 168. Speaking about Canelo Alvarez, and again, September 14th, approaching within 2 weeks, T-Mobile Arena, Amazon Prime, and pay-per-view.com, among the others, even on Zone pay-per-view. You have Canelo and Berlanga as the main event for Canelo's titles at 168, a major fight on the fall calendar. But you also have a very good undercard if you order this card. And let's run by it real quick. It's finalized, and there are a lot of other fights on the card, but we're going to go over the main ones. Lara defending his WBC middleweight championship. Let's put that poster up, Carl. We have the fight poster, Canelo Alvarez. There is the undercard. And of interest here with Lara again is the three-time champ Danny Garcia from Philadelphia, who's moving up in weight at 154. And Danny Garcia hasn't been active in about 2 years. He said that he's back and he's going to be vying for history and become a four-time champion. Got a tough one with Lara, who is the champion, the WBC middleweight champion. Look forward to that fight, Lara and Garcia. And the interim WBA super middleweight championship, Khalid Plant against McCurry. Plant is very controversial outside the ring. He's always challenging another fighter. yet he's still relevant, and that's going to be a good one. And if Plant wins his fight, well, maybe he gets a shot again at Canelo Alvarez, who already beat him. Who knows? Canelo, of course, picks and chooses his opponents. I've been talking more about that in the last few days with my good buddy Ricky Ricardo, WIP Radio WFAN in New York, who has me on his shows when he does talk radio. And Ricky and I were talking about relevance of how big Canelo is, and picks and chooses his opponent. He is the face of boxing. Most people will say that. He still makes the money, yet the Turk, they want him in Saudi Arabia, yet he turned them down because he doesn't want to fight for less than $250 million because he says it picks and chooses. They need me. I don't need him. But Canelo's the attraction here. And how much longer will he be an attraction? And we'll preview this more next week as we go into 2 weeks with Canelo fighting Edgar Berlanga, who got his opportunity. And then that fight at the bottom, Rolly Romero, the former WBA junior welterweight champion, in a division that's very strong and very relevant and very powerful in the sport. It's still the major talk of the sport, 140 junior welterweight. Romero is looking to get the title back, be back in the mix, has a shot. 10 rounds here for the super lightweight title, where it's also called. And he's got James Hayema there, which will be an interesting fight for Romero because he needs to win, coming off the loss to Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And Cruz, of course, lost the title just a few weeks ago, and he'll be looking to still stay in the mix at 140. But I like Romero. He's controversial as well. He's a character, but he's a good fighter. And Isaac Cruz just got him on a bad day. But for Rolly Romero here to become champion again, which he wants to do, and he's been saying that ever since he lost that title to Isaac Pitbull Cruz, Romero's going to have to win this fight. If not, then he kind of fades away and fights to still make some money, but doesn't become this player to get a title back at 140. So more on this card next week as we lead into September 14th, but it is shaping up to be a very good card of pay-per-view boxing at the T-Mobile Arena on Zone Pay-Per-View, payperview.com. Highlighted again, Matchroom's got Edgar Berlanga. They gave him the chance in his multi-fight deal against the undisputed, except IBF, champion at 168, Canelo Alvarez. And I am pronouncing his name right. And Ricky Ricardo also says it's not Canelo, it's Canelo, in the Spanish talk. All right. Well. Where would we be without talking about who every week? Put it up. Ryan Garcia talk. Always on X, always on Instagram with his million or so followers, trying to stay relevant still as he continues his suspension for a year off the Devin Haney fight and that fiasco. So Ryan Garcia now tweeting about everything. He takes a break. He said he misplaced his phone and he couldn't do any tweeting the last couple of days, but today he was active again. And he's talking about Kamala Harris, the presidential nominee of the Democratic Party. He is a Trump supporter. Garcia's made that known on social media. He's talking about how boxing is boring without him. He's talking about Jesus Christ, his savior, all the time. He looks up to him. He praises the Lord every day on social media. He's talking about everything but himself, getting back into the ring and becoming relevant again to build a legacy, as I tell you each and every week. I keep talking about him because Ryan Garcia wants to be talked about and still not in rehab to straighten out his problems. He says he suffers from the mental illness, and we knew that. However, Ryan Garcia is not getting the help that he's supposed to get off the suspension. And this is what we get instead. Continued tweeting. Continuing to try and get attention. He wants to fight again. And the Saudi Arabians haven't come up with a deal where he can fight, even though he was suspended by the New York State Athletic Commission and some of the governing bodies. I don't know what to say about this no more, except that I'm addicted to it. I hate to be, but I am, because Ryan Garcia, let's face it, folks, is still a relevant name in the sport and still out there keeping himself relevant because he's a social media phenom. So I talk about it. And it's hysterical, the things he tweets about, conspiracy theories, Kamala Harris now, and talking about how boxing's boring without him. And you tell you the truth, he's right about that. The sport, he makes it more interesting when he opens his mouth and he has a fight plan because he's a good promoter for himself with Oscar De La Hoya. So here's the latest from the king, as he calls him, Ryan Garcia. Your comments, let me know. YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe. Rich Mancuso. Also, Spring Punk Entertainment, AGT Network, and my Keep It in the Ring page. Want to hear from you folks. What do you think? All right, some news that the WBO, one of the alphabet soup sanctioning boxing organizations, they've ordered the mandated fight junior middleweight championship at 154. The interim champ now, Terrence Crawford, who won it about a month ago, didn't look that great at 154, and he's awaiting his next challenge for his interim title. But there is a mandatory coming up that the WBO has ordered here for Crawford to fight the Mexican, the Hurricane, the Giant, Sebastian Fundora, who's a champion at 154. And that fight, my friends, I think will happen. But they're talking about Fundora against Errol Spence Jr. But the WBO is saying they have a mandatory here for Crawford to fight Sebastian Fundora. You know, either way, I want to see Crawford back in the ring, and I would like to see it by the end of the year. I don't know if it'll happen, and see if he can improve on his skills now that he's at 154 and no longer at 147 welterweight, where he was dominant, as you know, and unified those titles. But 30 days now they have to negotiate to put this agreement together for Fundora and Crawford to fight the supposed mandatory. And the purse bid has been ordered at a minimum of $200,000. Yes, my friends, there's a lot of money in the sport. There's another example of it. A minimum purse bid for this potential fight, Crawford and Fundora, for $200,000. That's the minimum. Can you imagine what the maximum is going to be? This is crazy. But Terrence Crawford's going to be back in the ring soon. Is it going to be with Sebastian Fundora, which could be in a very interesting fight because, you know, Fundora is the lanky, tall Mexican-American fighter with the title now, 154, and he's hard to beat. He's hard to beat because he's got that big reach. And Crawford, though, every time if someone fights him, you know what Terrence Crawford could do, whether it be 147, 154, he knows how to get the right punch in. So we'll keep you updated on that. And today, Top Rank ESPN Plus announced a rematch, and this is what we wanted to see. The WBC Super Featherweight champ, Robinson Casello, is going to have the rematch now for the title he now holds against the former champ, Shaquille Foster, November 2nd, and that would be at the Turning Stone Resort up in Verona, New York, which is right by the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, if you recall, just a few months back, this was the most controversial decision in boxing this year. Foster said they stole the title from me on points. And indeed they did. Everyone knows that Shaquille Foster won that fight, and Casello barely got this win. So a rematch was talked about, and a rematch truly should have happened, and now it will. And Foster will try and get redemption, as they say in the sport, and get the title back that he said they stole from him and took it right off his waist, and they did. Looking forward to November 2nd, major fight, rematch on the calendar. Foster against Casello again for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship, and I know Shaquille Foster is already training hard for this rematch. He wants those titles back that were stolen from him and deserves them because 3 blind mice at ringside, the judges, handed him the wrong decision a few months ago. All right. That's the boxing right now. Like I said, it's a light week as we get into the Labor Day weekend, and then we'll pick up the fall calendar in a week or so, and much more to talk about in the sport. Fighters need a break. Promoters need a break. We need a break because there's been so much. It's been that type of year for boxing going into September. Major fights, controversy, and some big fights with the major names, and more of that to come as we get into September, the fall, and the winter. I'm still looking forward to Baval and Betevieve to unify the light heavyweight titles that was rescheduled, that being October 12th in Saudi Arabia. The Kings and Princes got that one, and they're looking forward to it. Going to be a good one on October 12th on the Zone pay-per-view and payperview.com. And I'm looking forward again to the rematch in December, late December, for the heavyweight title in between Anthony Joshua trying to still become a heavyweight champion again. But I'm looking forward to Tyson Fury and Usyk, the champion for most of the titles in the heavyweight division now. And Tyson Fury, he's been quiet. Here he's been training, and he's looking to get his titles back. So we got a lot going on, and you'll hear more about it starting next week in the sport, including the dominance of the Kings and Princes of Saudi Arabia, who are making the sport bigger, who have the money to do it. The fans love it. The promoters love working for them, and they'll continue to do it. They're becoming the promoters. They got the money to do it. And the fight capital of the world, Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia, the Kings and Princes, as I call them, have a command on the sport. All right. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, no guests this week, but a lot of pro wrestling talk to dominate the next half hour of the program. AEW All In was a success. All Out will follow. And then WWE with the Crash in Berlin, Crash in Berlin. That's going to be good with a lot of implications there on Peacock. And I'll talk to Carl Roberts about all of that coming up. Plus, Fact of the Week and nostalgia to come. This is Rich Mancuso. This is Keep It in the Ring. Live on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. AGT Network and String Punk Entertainment. Back in a moment, folks. Stay with us.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
All right. I thought we were going to do the promo for Pandemonium. Where is it? Carl? I'll say this. Pandemonium's going to be huge, and we've been playing this the last month on our breaks. Jason Knight, ACW returns October 12th. Pfeiffer Center there in South Jersey, and a lot of the ECW superstars of the past will be back there for Retribution. Pandemonium's going to be huge, my friends. We'll have some more of the stars that are going to be on that show. Scott Churchman and I are lining that up, and we'll have them, and you'll be hearing from them as we continue to get closer to Pandemonium, the rematches, the mayhem for October 12th. All right. Carl Roberts, come on in. First, I want to do Fact of the Week. And Scott Churchman, if you're listening and you're on there on the sideline, come in as well, because I want to let's see if both of you could get the Fact of the Week. It's a boxing question. Put up the image. It's not Fact of the Week until it's Fact of the Week. Put it up. Here we go. All right. All right, Carl. Scott, are you there?
No, he's not.
All right. Okay, so Carl, take a crack at it. And anyone else, comment if you can get this Fact of the Week. It's a boxing fact about the fastest hands. Because Hector Camacho, the late Hector Macho Camacho, Manny Pacquiao, Muhammad Ali, claim they, all Hall of Famers. Even Floyd Mayweather Jr. supposedly had the fastest hands in the sport. Opponents could not get to them because they did have the fastest hands in the sport. And why were they known as having the fastest hands in the sport? take a crack at it? It's a fact, not trivia. Call.
Didn't they have the fastest uppercut?
Yes. Call. We got to get a ring effect in there. You got it. Fastest uppercut, straight rights, very efficient, and all at one time. That's what made them known with the fastest hands in the sport. In particular, when you looked at Hector Macho Camacho, he had that and went on and won because he had one of the fastest hands in the sport. You didn't know where those hands were coming from. And Manny Pacquiao was the same. You didn't know. And also Muhammad Ali. You didn't know, besides Ali's footwork, you never knew where those hands were coming from. You never knew. They just come out of nowhere. And yeah, the uppercut and the straight rights, very efficient and all at one time. That's what made them so dominant, Carl, and for all of you out there. And go on YouTube, take a look at their fights, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, that closes up the fact of the week. Thanks, Carl. Good job doing that, at least part of it. But let's get to your expertise now. Keep it in the ring. Let's go pro wrestling. We got a lot to talk about with pro wrestling. And let's first look at AEW. Yeah, let's go quickly and look at AEW All In on pay-per-view this past weekend from Wembley in the UK, where only 51,000 or so, not 80,000 as they thought. Still, I thought, Carl, it was a very good show coming out of AEW this past weekend out of Wembley. You were able to get matches and storylines that will continue now for All Out and moving on. And I liked, let's put up the image. I didn't expect this because he has a neck injury and might get surgery. He's been talking about retirement, but that swerved me. Bryan Danielson defeated Swerve for the AEW title. And in the ring, the celebration compelling, and it was almost a tearjerker. There's Danielson's son, Bree, his wife, former WWE Tag Team Champ. And then you had their, who was in there? Who was in the ring there with him? You had Claudio and Wheeler, right?
And you also have the bastard Pac,
which I didn't expect, but they were all tight, these guys. And Daniels had a nice post-fight celebration, talked about in the post-scrum with Tony Khan, AEW on YouTube, and said that, he's here. He's here to stay for now, but still doesn't have a contract. Did he re-sign with the company, Carl?
So last night was Dynamite, and he did address that he has not signed a new contract yet. He does have to have major neck surgery. That it's basically time for him to go home. But he says it ain't any
the
time
question
soon.
is, why would they put the title on him if he's got to have neck surgery? And he's been talking about it. I don't understand it. I'm glad he got a major title. He's deserves to get it. Do they forfeit the title eventually? Who's next for him?
No. Actually, next for him is Jack Perry at All In.
Right. That developed. I missed Dynamite. I caught up and read about it because I was with the Yankees last night down in DC. Yeah.
Is All In. And I believe it's called All In. I'm sorry.
All Out.
All mixed up right now. All Out. But it will be Jack Perry versus Daniel Bryanson for the belt.
He challenged him last night in the ring or backstage.
Well, he started out as a backstage, but he came behind him and jumped him from behind.
So Bryan Danielson's the new champion. That was a swerve. Swerve is still going to be around, trying to get the title back. And but this guy,
he's in a major fight at All Out.
Against
Hangman Page in a steel cage match.
Yeah, that's going to be, AEW is going back to the way they started with cage matches and a lot of the blood, and a lot of that is their new media rights deal still to be determined. We don't know if they're still going to be with Time Warner and TBS and the networks, but I read something where they got a deal with was it yesterday they came out with something where they have another deal with someone else to show their pay-per-views or whatever? Am I right about that, Carl?
I did not see that. I got to look into that. But also,
but they're still negotiable. They'll be back on Time Warner. They'll be back. They love them. They got a good deal.
But you did have somebody returned last night that you haven't seen for 2 months, and he says something that is making everybody think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Mr. John Moxley returned last night.
Right.
And Tony Schiavone, one of the greatest commentators in the world, went into the ring, congratulated John Moxley for returning, and Moxley is calling out Darby Allin to talk. But before he left the ring, he turned around and said, "This is not your company."
No, right. I read that. Yeah.
So now
I know.
Trying to figure out. But there's also a name being tossed around of coming to AEW.
Who?
And that would be Mr. Shane McMahon.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about that, and it's been quiet since that came out publicly. But I think that's still going to happen. I think Shane McMahon is going to align himself with AEW. I don't know if he's going to how he's going to play a role here backstage, or he's going to be a character, whatever. But I do see it happening where he is maybe he'll go after the Young Bucks with Elite. And continue that war. But let's continue with All In. This guy, though, MJF loses his American title to Will Ospreay. I know Ospreay would win this, but MJF is not going away. He's going to be in line for that title he wants since his return. The most vicious heel in the sport, the best mic work in the sport, without a doubt, continues to be MJF.
Correct. And somebody actually costed him the title. A returning Daniel Garcia, who MJF put on the shelf 2 months ago.
So that storyline developed last night on Dynamite more. Garcia wants to get him because of the ring that MJF still has. I wouldn't doubt that they'll do that match at AEW Grand Slam in New York at the Tennis Center, the Tennis Center on Dynamite in mid-September, and I want to be there for that one because I'm a big fan of MJF, and I'm also a big fan of Garcia as well.
Or they might actually hold off for one other pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Full Gear.
I left Washington D.C. early this morning. And they were buzzing about AEW. Is it New Japan? They have a show there in DC tomorrow night.
Yes.
There was a big buzz about that, and a lot of the AEW superstars were just coming in town when I was leaving, so they're going to be there Friday night. Now, also at All In, we saw the debut, and it was on Dynamite last night. We knew it was coming. Ricochet. Making a quick impression fast. There he is. AEW star Ricochet. Sounds a little unusual, but he's there.
And you know what surprised me is he actually came in with the same name he had with the WWE.
Well, I think it's his. That's why. It's trademarked to him.
That's another thing. But also, too, WWE is allowing guys to leave with their name, not keeping that.
Which Vince McMahon would never do.
Correct.
Triple H doesn't care. Triple H is a different demeanor, different personality.
I have a little news that I've been hearing. Oh, yes. He's more of what the talent want and also what the fans want.
Exactly. That's what it's about. Without the fans, you got nothing.
Only he wanted.
Only what he wanted. And that's why the morale in the locker room backstage is so much better. They love Triple H. They love what Paul Levesque is doing. Vince is history. Yep. He built the legacy, but he's history. And Ricochet now in AEW. Carl, Mariah May dethroned Toni Storm. She's become a character. She's pretty good at what she does. Will they continue to feud these two?
I think she might move on to somebody else. But yeah, that was the best match I've seen out of Mariah May since she actually debuted.
And she's playing the Toni Storm character real well. She's playing that character real well. She's using the same type of demeanor. She's using the same type of words and the accent. And she's using the script as well in front of her that Toni Storm always did. All right, let's move WWE. Right. Before we do that, real quick Carl Roberts, who's a part of AGT Network. Plug where fans see you as well on the network, Carl.
So actually, the fans can catch me later after this show at 9:30 on the AGT with the Main Event podcast, which is all about combat sports, the UFC, and bare knuckle fighting, going about all the news on that and all of the upcoming fights that we have coming up. Then also on Saturday, we have the football show, the Gridiron Insights.
Well, if you need baseball help, you let me know because I'm at the ballpark. That's why I'm beat and tired most of the time. I'd be glad to interject and help you. Continue quickly. I'm going to leave you with the AEW question before we go to WWE.
Sure.
So how long does Bryan Danielson keep that title?
I'm going to say 6 months.
And then what? Retire and get the surgery?
Retire, get the surgery, and come back as a writer in the back.
And
he is
Sting,
not leaving the company.
Here's another thing I feel to mention. Sting returned. Is Sting a player again? Sting is he returned. Back? With Darby Allin? He rescued Darby Allin. Is he back? Is he back? Is he going to compete again?
No, he's not going to compete, but he is in the back as a coach for the talent.
Okay, that's great news. The Hall of Famer. Great
his
superstar.
in-ring is completely done.
That's good to hear. There are a lot of Sting fans out there, including me.
But he's not going to be performing.
Well, that's good to hear. Good to hear. All right. Let's move on. The WWE has a major PLE event. Seems like every month they have one. And international, of course. And here they go to Berlin, Germany. And it's a bash in Berlin. And it's got some real good things. But first, yes, let's put up the image. And we lost another wrestling superstar unexpectedly, 63 years of age, young, had been suffering from cancer. Sid Vicious. Sid debuted in 1987. It was an original one of the Four Horsemen, WWE, known greatly for his physique, his style, his meanness, and I could tell you that he played that character outside the ring. Hulk Hogan and him main evented WrestleMania 8, and we lost another good one. We've been losing too many legends in the last couple of weeks, and Sid Vicious, Sid Udi was one of them.
One of his videos has gone so much viral is when he jumped off the second turnbuckle and snapped his leg.
Remember that. Remember it well. He was a performer. He was a character. He was good.
And as soon as you seen that done, you're like, yep, he's done.
And you saw how the wrestling family fraternity all paid tribute to him on social media in the past few days. So rest in peace, Sid Udi, Sid Vicious, one of the great superstars of pro wrestling, passed on at too young of an age of 63 years of age. Now, let's go to Clash in Berlin. Saturday afternoon thing in Peacock. And I like the show. I like this as we continue storylines going into Survivor Series. Here's the continuing.
Oh, I didn't realize this one here real quick. Your friend TD Sports. One of only 5 guys or less that main event of WrestleMania and Starrcade.
That's a good point. Thomas is very good with that stuff. I'll bring him into the fold more often on the program. He knows his stuff. And thank you, Thomas. And keep up the good work with your show on Facebook and YouTube as well. Dom Mysterio, crazy Dom, Liv Morgan Triangle continues, but not so much. The new Judgment Day against Damian Priest, who's at Yankee Stadium a lot, and I keep missing it. Big Yankee fan. He goes to a lot of Yankee games from the Bronx like me. And there he is with the Rhea Ripley. Call. the mixed match, and I like it. I love what they're doing with this. The storyline continues. It's hot. It's intense. Who do you like here?
I actually like Priest and Ripley.
I think
the way they're
yeah.
putting together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
developing the new judge, a new faction, and they are a force. The two of them together, I love it. I love Ripley, and I love Damian Priest now getting their fan favorites, and Liv Morgan and Dom. I wonder when Dirty Dom is going to become Good Dom again. I think his father Ray
I don't think he ever
on
will.
Monday Night Raw caught that, was letting him have it again, and he made that comment about being with another slut, basically, and in other words, yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to go clean. He's going to.
No. He's good. He's got the Eddie
so well.
Guerrero look, Uncle Eddie. He's got the look, the mustache, the long hair, and wrestles a lot like Eddie Guerrero. All right, Gunther and Randy Orton for the heavyweight title. That Orton is looking to become a 17-time champion in WWE.
Like
how could you not like Gunther? He's so technical and good as a heel, and sometimes you wonder if he's a real heel or not. And of course, Randy Orton still goes on. What do you think?
I actually think that Gunther is going to continue being champion, but Randy Orton's going to give him one of the best fights Gunther has ever had in his career.
It's going to be a good match to watch. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to as they continue their feud. CM Punk and McIntyre strap match that Punk wanted. I think this one is. I like this, but I just hope they don't continue this feud beyond Survivor Series or whatever and go into it in WrestleMania. But McIntyre and Punk, they have a real good one going there in WWE. Who do you like?
I actually like McIntyre, but the thing is, to me, it's getting played out too much.
It is. Yeah, I agree, Carl.
It's like when Vince McMahon was in charge, you had the same fight month after month after month.
And it's happening here. Ended. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
You had Drew McIntyre beat Punk already.
Yeah.
That was it. That should have been it. No more.
All right, let's move on. We have the women's tag team titles. How many? What are there? 5 matches on the card?
I believe so.
See, that's the difference with the PLE events, WWE and Claire. The AEW is too long. I always say that. Their pay-per-views run for 5 hours, much too long. And then you want to watch the scrum with Tony Khan afterwards, much too long, though they're lessening that a little bit. It was a little less this week. But Triple H and WWE doing it the right way. They're not giving you 5 hours, except that with WrestleMania. Their pre-shows are getting a little longer, though. But the women's title, unlikely union, and Bianca Belair and Jay Cargill. Do Cargill and Belair finally have this dissension and break up on Saturday?
I think it's a possibility. Okay, there it is. Hold on one second.
And Carl, let's move on. I'm running out of time. Carl,
yes,
stick with me here. Cody Rhodes, the champ. Cody Rhodes wanted this. Kevin Owens finally got it. Owens didn't want to do it. Does Kevin Owens turn heel on Saturday?
Yes.
If Cody retains, he will. Owens will turn on Cody. And then what happens to Cody? Does Cody join the new bloodline with Roman Reigns? Keep hearing his name involved with that. Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility, but there's also another possibility that the other brother of the Usos might be joining.
Yeah, so do you think we'll see that develop on Saturday in Berlin? Do you think any of them will get involved here?
And they might.
One thing you've learned to know with Triple H, you will get surprised. It's not as predictable as it used to be with Vince McMahon, which I like.
Correct.
I think the fans like that as well, including this. The New Day had been teasing about a breakup. Is that going to happen?
I think it might be happening there or actually Monday.
And what about Bronson Reed and Strowman, the two Mammoth guys?
I'm
And
actually, I am invested in that.
Are they on? Are they a part of Clash of Berlin? Did they announce that, or are they just building to get to that?
That's what I'm actually pulling up right now, and no, they are not.
All right, so they're building towards
So
something with
the
the
only
two of them.
five is on
Yeah,
is Gunther and Orton, Codes and Owens, the mixed tag team, the strap match, and the tag team women's.
so there's
That's
five of them. Yeah, it could be
Five
a
of them.
3-hour show either way. All right, Carl, we look forward to Bash from Berlin and the follow-up of AEW All In into All Out. A lot of pro wrestling talk this week. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for being a part of the program again and helping out with me and Scott Churston here. And we'll talk to you more next week, okay, my friend? And
Yes, sir.
one more time, where do fans catch your shows on the AGT network?
You can catch us on YouTube. Thursday nights, right after this show, is our main event podcast. Saturdays is the Gridiron Insight, which is all about the NFL, college football, and UFL.
Okay, Carl. Thank you, my friend. Stay there in the background. We'll talk to you, though, again more next week. Final break of the night. We come back. Nostalgia. I love to do that every week with you and something else. I'm Rich Mancuso. This is Keep It in the Ring. Live on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also on String Punk Entertainment and the AGT Network and Facebook page, Keep It in the Ring. Stay with us. Back in a moment. We'll wrap this all up. I'm Rich Mancuso. This is Keep It in the Ring.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Get ready for Pandemonium, October 12th. I'll be there commentating at ringside again with Tommy Cairo, the former ECW superstar, and with Jason Knight, the promoter of ECW, and Desiree. More to come on this in the weeks to come, and we'll be doing the commentary. Scott Churston and I are part of that production. Looking forward to it again. Now, let's look at this. You know what happens when you're in this business as long as I am, and I have that familiar face. People will come up to me and say, "Hey, you're Rich Mancuso." I said, "Yeah, big deal. I'm Rich Mancuso. I do this, I do that. I've been doing it so many years." Everyone knows the story. But, in Washington, D.C. this week, and I'm at my hotel outside taking a little breather, and, I have friends in that town, but I really don't know many people there. I'm there covering Yankees Nationals for 2 nights, and a car pulls up, and I'm saying, who is this? I mean, you got to be a little concerned. I'm staying in the Chinatown area of Washington, D.C. Relatively safe, but still, not the best. And this car pulls up out of nowhere. Guy comes out of the car. Beard, ponytail, hair, long. Then I focused in with my bad vision, and I find out. And he says, "Are you Rich Mancuso?" I said, "Yes." "And who are you?" And then I recognized who it was right away. Put that image up, Carl. Here it is. Me and Diamond Dave, David Diamante, the head ring announcer and MC for Matchroom Boxing on the Zone. And I don't have this strong relationship with David Diamante. However, it's I just found this to be interesting that he came up to me. When I see him at the fights, we never talk. But he happened to be in town tending to his mother, and then was going to board a plane and go to L.A. for the Diego Pacheco fight this Saturday night. We caught up a little bit, and I'll tell you the truth, it was nice to see him. It was great. So naturally, the people in the hotel, the managers and stuff, And they knew my name, and they were impressed with it. They knew who David was, and they knew who I was. It was nice. I got some food comps out of it. And I want to thank the people at the I think it was I don't remember the name of the hotel. Pretty nice place in China. But they good to see David D, Diamond Dave, out of nowhere. As we said together when we left, keep it in the ring, Dave. I'm going to see more of him, though, now that we caught up. That was interesting. I still look at that as interesting. One of the things in my career, you run into people out of nowhere. All right, nostalgia time. Put it up, Carl. We're going to go back in time, real time here. August 29th, 1885. There you got it. The black and white image of John L. Sullivan beating Dominic McCaffrey on points in round 7 to win the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship under the marquees of Queensberry Rules, as boxing was known, at Oyster Park in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Queensberry Rules, 6 rounds. If you don't have a winner, then they went to 7. Sullivan was a bare knuckles, American bare knuckle fighter. He hurt. He became a heavyweight champ. He knocked McCaffrey out several times. The fight was scheduled for 6 rounds. Like I said, they had to go to 7 because of the Queensberry Rules. They had to have a winner. But it continued unofficially in the 7th round in the record books. The first heavyweight fight using 3-ounce gloves. Boxing gloves now are basically 10 ounces. First to incorporate 3-minute rounds in boxing, which we have. Way back, August 29th, 1885. And that goes to show you again, my friends, the history of the sport, how far back it goes, and how things evolved. The rules. Starting, of course, under the old Queensberry Rules, the Marquis of Queensberry Rules, as they say. 6-round fights would go to 7 if you don't have a winner. And then you had the 3-minute rounds as they still stand in boxing, except with the stupid exhibition bogus bouts like Floyd Mayweather did last weekend, where they're 2-minute rounds and of 6 with no judges at ringside. Here you had judges at ringside. Yeah, the referee was the main judge back then. Interesting as we close nostalgia. And by the way, John L. Sullivan, look him up for you history buffs in the sport. And take a look at that image again and see how it looked when a fight was promoted way back in 1885. Quite different, as you know, than what we have today in 2024. That's the nostalgia of the week. More next week. I love doing this. You go back in time, whether it's recent time or way back then in 1885. More next week. And for that, we wrap up the program this week. I want to thank Carl Roberts and Scott Church, and also in the background, helping me out as always and putting up with me to put this show together. Well, quick hour. Boxing schedule was light. The talk is light, but it's being put together, as I said at the onset of the program tonight. We will have the major fight action with the superstars coming up, including young Shakur Stevenson, 25 years of age, back in soon and on the Zone pay-per-view. So the schedule is going to be all put together and finalized next week, the week after. Some of the fights are already in place. And, of course, this weekend you get to see the young superstar Diego Pacheco with a significant fight that he says, my friends, he needs to win, because if he wins, he's on his way to becoming that champion in 168. Will it be Mabili? Will it be Shada Camille? Will he get Edgar Berlanga? Someone else? Remains to be seen, but Diego Pacheco knows what he has to do. He has to win his fight Saturday night on the Zone. Tune in. If you haven't seen him, you're going to like what you see. Next week, keep in touch with us. We'll let you know. We'll be live again, 8 p.m. Eastern. And hope to have a guest lined up, either in boxing or wrestling. We'll see where we go with that. And, of course, stay in touch. Ring 786 at X, my handle on Twitter, formerly Twitter, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. Also, and you can get me at Ring 786 at Twitter. Leave a comment. I get back to you also on Facebook Messenger as well. I try to get back to each and every one of you with this busy schedule of mine. Do the best I can. And for those of you who do, I love talking to you. Keep up. And thank you as always for your continued support. I really appreciate, and I love doing this program. We'll continue to do, God willing, that I can keep doing it in the weeks in the rest of the year and going into next. It's Keep It in the Ring, as I call it. I want you all to stay well. God bless. Stay healthy. Be good to each other. Until next week, live on my channel, YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll say it again on Stream Punk Entertainment and the AGT Network. I'm Rich Mancuso. Stay in touch. Have a good week. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. The end of summer is here. See you all next week, folks. Thank you again for watching.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man.